Welcome along, gamers, to this look at the Game Awards nominees and who's going to win with myself, Respawn Rossco, and David Game for the Game and Respawn podcast for MyGamesLounge.com. This is a section of the full podcast as we look at all the categories that mean the most to us, as well as the Game of the Year category and the most anticipated game of next year. We have a discussion about all the games that we've played and the ones that we think deserve to win, but that's not just the whole part of the show. We want your thoughts on who's going to win. So please get yourself in those comments on mygameslounge.com or on YouTube and let us know who you think the category winners are going to be, which are the pick of the bunch for you, which are the categories you've got your eye on, and which game deserves to be Game of the Year. Enjoy this section with me and David Game having a little bit of a discussion about it. As ever, please share and follow us on all social media and subscribe to us on YouTube. That would be awesome. Enjoy. The Game Awards nominees, and the show is coming up, and we're basically asking the questions about the games that we are looking at. Who's going to win them? Who's going to win these awards? What do we think? Now, what we've done for this format, we've got 15 minutes to go through these, so you can enjoy it. If you're on the full podcast, if you're not bothered, feel free to go further on to the last topic. But if you're listening along, we're going to talk about some of the categories that mean the most to us individually, me and David. Plus, we're going to look at Game of the Year and the most anticipated ones shown so far. So, David, you've got a couple of picks from the Game Awards. Which categories are you interested in, and who do you think's going to win out of the nominees?
Well, I'll tell you after this commercial break. Hi, I'm Geoff Keighley, and we're here today with... legitimately,
no.
like,
he doesn't even say his surname properly. His surname is Keighley, and he doesn't even know how to say it properly.
I would defend Geoff. Like, I like Geoff Keighley to an extent. I think he's very, very corporate, but I think he does love video games. Geoff Keighley is allowed to pronounce his name however he likes, Russ, and you cannot northern him. Don't do that. Let him have his name. I will say
he can't claim to be his name's from a northern place in England and not say it properly.
I mean, yeah, okay, all right. I'm calling him Keighley. If he says his name's Keighley,
you call him
Keighley.
That's fine.
So the fact is that the real winners of the Game Awards are the people that get advertisements on there, and Geoff Keighley himself. So there is that. So best winner of the whole thing. Congratulations, Geoff and advertisers. But my two choices, Russ, for the discussion are best score / music. Now, for those that aren't familiar, music is melodic sound, and scores. But again,
we're not talking football scores.
All right, no, we are not. We are talking scored music, and the 6 nominees, Ross, are Destiny 2. Fine,
nice.
Whatever. Cuphead. Fine, cool. Nier Automata, the winner. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I mean, more sound design. No, not the music, not the score. More the design. Super Mario Odyssey, in the running. It is in the running. It has some really good songs in there. I still hear the main theme, the Odyssey theme, in my head, right now as I'm thinking about it. So, that has merit. And then, of course, the runner-up to the actual winner is Persona 5. Persona 5.
Okay.
Persona 5 that was the first game I played this year. I believe I played Nier after Persona, and even though I think Nier came out first, and Persona 5, that was the first one where I was like, man, this game's music is some of the best music I have. That is Persona. That whole style is, and it was a new entry into that, but it still had a jazz soul. Certain things were chill, certain things were more hypey. It just fit every moment. Persona 5 is an excellent choice for that category as a runner-up, unfortunately, because Nier Automata, Russ. The music in Nier Automata is just incredible. If the fact they used the word score, if they chose any other game, if this were a legitimate award ceremony and not a venue for advertisers, if they said best score. Nier Automata, I bought the soundtrack before buying the game because I'd played the game on rent and I was like, man, this is an excellent soundtrack. I am buying this soundtrack for 30 quid instantly. And I bought it and I got 3 big old bulky CDs filled with the game's music, and it's just incredible. And I do believe those are dogs barking. I don't know if it's coming through.
That's okay. They're just agreeing with you. They're just agreeing with
they
you.
agree. No, Nier Automata is... I get it. Wow.
Maybe. Actually, they might sound like Zelda fans. I don't know.
Zelda fans.
The dog could be a Zelda fan.
Again, Zelda fans have their moments for a lot of things in Zelda that are actually excellent. The best score or music. If anyone tries to argue that, you are that level of fanboy at that point. Let's not play around. So, it's like someone saying Destiny 2. Like, oh yeah, Destiny 2 has some interesting themes. It's not the best score. Like, come on. Nier Automata, it just has this incredible orchestral soundtrack with incredible vocals. And the best bit, Russ, was it's a thing that people have been praising Mario for, and Nier did it first, which is the transition of the whatever music's going on in the background. When you go into the little hacking mini game, sometimes like during battle, it transitions into like bit tune, like kind of like 16-bit music.
Nice.
Of that soundtrack seamlessly. It doesn't like start over. It goes at the point of that soundtrack, switches into it, and when you come out of it, it's back at the point, like a continuous play of the song, just into a different element. And it's incredible. Nice. And Mario, again, to say that for Mario Odyssey, it does do that. What Mario Odyssey doesn't do is have the rest of the incredibly deep, sweeping soundtrack that Nier has. And, it just fits that aesthetic of the world as well. It's this lonely kind of open thing, and the epicness of like the big robot battles when you're fighting something. It's just, it hits on every level, Russ. So that's best score and music for me, mate. I don't know how you feel about those 6 games.
No, man, you heard it here first, gamers. The winner is Nier Automata. I haven't played enough of any of those games to really fully give you a verdict on that, but I like it. What's your next category?
My next one is best RPG. The best RPG, as if it...
Not rocket launcher, no?
No. I believe what game took that this year? I'd probably Destiny 2 for me, actually. That's got a few good ones. But if we're talking the traditional role-playing game, sir, the game where you play roles as I scroll down this page to try and find, and I elongate my words as I look for the best RPG section, which is surprisingly low on this screen. There we are. Right. The 5 games in that category. There is one game that I haven't played that I really want to, but it's deep and it's going to be a problem. So, the 5 nominees. South Park, The Fractured Butthole. Final Fantasy 15, because it must have been too late for last year's nominations. Nier Automata. Divinity Original Sin 2.
Ooh.
And Persona 5. Now, I have played every game but Divinity Original Sin 2, and I have heard nothing but effusive praise for that game, and that creates a bit of a conflict in me, because from the position that I'm in, the best RPG is Persona 5. That wasn't even a question when I looked at this list, except for the fact that Divinity Original Sin 2 is apparently excellent. So I can't speak to that authoritatively, but from my vantage point, if we discount Divinity, because I have not played Divinity and I likely will not be able to invest that much time into Divinity to actually render a verdict, Persona 5, that's just an excellent RPG. It takes the turn-based RPG system that I've grown incredibly tired of and just keeps building on it, keeps making it interesting with the stylish actions. It just keeps hitting home, and that's Persona through and through. That it takes turn-based RPGs and goes, hey, what if we added some elements to the turn-based rather than running with our tail between our legs from it like Final Fantasy 15 does? I like Final Fantasy 15, but that ran away from turn-based a while ago. Final Fantasy in general. And, you got things like Nier Automata, role-playing game. I mean, kind of more of an action RPG, I guess. There's a bit of
the lines are blurred.
The genre awards are kind of weird these days, man, because everything is everything. South Park: The Fractured Butthole, I'm conflicted on South Park. Very interesting game. I enjoyed the game. I would never put it at the top of an RPG list. The RPG elements of it are arguably the worst parts of it. And then the actual South Park elements are the best parts. That's why you play that game. So, yeah, those 5, I imagine with your hectic schedule, you got like no time into any of those.
No, not too much. I mean, obviously, I tend to pass on a lot of the giant games to people like yourselves that get on with it. But I love a good RPG, and everything I've seen of Persona 5 points to that being high up there. It's just that whether the niche element of it is going to shine through at an award, basically. But it's a good category. It's a good category to kind of.
That whole category is niche
game an award.
Yeah, I was going to say everything here is niche except for Final Fantasy 15. That and South Park might be the most mainstream upfront things. Yeah, and even then,
No, I do. I agree with you. I think it's the one where if you're going to give Persona 5 an award, that's the one where it's got to win in its own backyard, if you like.
Absolutely.
I don't see, from what I've seen and what I have played of them, I don't see the only outsider there is Divinity Original Sin, because people fucking love that shit.
And
so
it looks really good, mate. I've seen some
footage. It does look good.
And I'm like, I wish even me with arguably the most free time of most people, given my circumstances, you'd think I'd be able to get to that, but I just haven't. And it's one of those games. It kind of hit me like The Witcher, where someone says, man, there's this much to do, and I go, wow, I don't want my life consumed that way. and then I say that, and I spent 300 hours in Persona 5, so which you don't have to. Whereas with Divinity, it sounds very much like you really have to invest in that game, but not in a bad way, because it sounds like there is so much to invest in that you would want to. But I imagine you'd load up Divinity Original Sin and just run away screaming, like given yours.
I did the introduction and it took me 3 weeks. That would be fun.
Yeah.
I've kind of gone with a couple of big kind of categories, if you like. For me personally, I'm going to start with the best action adventure game, because I can comment on that one a little bit. A bit more, shall we say. So the nominees for the best action adventure game are Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, which is kind of more of a full game than I expected, actually. Assassin's Creed Origins, which is a huge improvement on the entire series. It's one of the best games of the series. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, say no more other than the name. Super Mario Odyssey, again, I don't need to add anything to that. And Horizon Zero Dawn, which is one of the best games of the year in terms of what was created there. I think everyone expected Horizon Zero Dawn to be good, and then it came along and it was good, which is something that is quite rare. People have high expectations and it's all right, but it came along and I think it achieved what it set out to do. There's some competition in there, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it's Mario or Legend of Zelda that may well take that, and Legend of Zelda is possibly more in that action adventure category than Mario is, because Mario, I would say, is more of like a 3D platformer, although it has got those elements. I don't know. It's a very, very tightly fought category, that one, for me. Horizon's got to be up there too. What would you say on those games?
Based on the name of the category, it's Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I
agree.
That game, again, I want to, for full clarification, I haven't played The Lost Legacy and I haven't played Assassin's Creed Origins. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, the actual gameplay in Uncharted games are the worst part of Uncharted, so obviously that's not winning. Assassin's Creed Origins, I hear really good things about, and I actually do want to try that. Because when you first brought that up to me, I'd played a little bit of it. I think I had a Boomerang rental, and I played a tiny bit. And no. So actually, this is my brother's PS4. I just popped in there to go. That's why I've got no trophies. I forgot about that. So, like with Assassin's Creed Origins, I hear it's got a very slow start. Some people like it, some people don't.
Yeah.
And then it goes full Ubisoft, and that's, apparently the gameplay's a lot better this time. I don't know. What I do know is that what I prayed, I guess in Breath of the Wild you can go to shrines, but what I played of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, I did things in that game with the powers they give you and the openness of that world. You say what you will about it being, large patches of it are empty. It's beautiful, but it's kind of like an empty silence at times. But the parts that have things going on, like when I did a puzzle in the Breath of the Wild, it's one of the earlier ones in Shrines, where I had to freeze water spouts to make a rock that was falling down go into a section of like a water slide and then hit a switch at the bottom. Now, when there was I did that, and then I looked online at some other people doing certain things. There was a shrine before where there's like metal doors that you had to make ramps out of, and somebody had, in some sort of speed run video, and I apologise for not remembering who this is, but I'm I need to go back and subscribe to their content, to be honest, because it was really good. Basically, they put the metal door on a bomb, I believe it was, and put themselves on the door, and they shot themselves across the entire temple on the door. And I was like, I would have never thought of that. And when you think of adventure games, as much as I love Super Mario Odyssey, and I do, and I really enjoyed Horizon Zero Dawn, especially its gameplay, like that game's gameplay is its highlight. But in terms of an adventure, things I had never ever done or would conceive of doing watching other people do, that was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. If it was going to win any category, it should be this one.
Cool. That's the song. We are to our 15 minutes, so I'm going to move on from my other category and say the Game of the Year nominees at the Game Awards this time is the previously discussed Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Persona 5, and Horizon Zero Dawn. So that's quite the quality lineup. Which one do you see winning that one, David?
If we're talking prediction of what will actually win, it's Mario or Zelda.
And for you?
For me, Persona. It's hard, man. Persona 5 is one of my favourite games of the year. And I spent the most time with that game. But I might have had more fun with Mario. And I might have had, I don't know, certain elements of Horizon that are really... This is a difficult category this year, and I don't want to eat up too much time at this point. But I will say, I was kind of salty, as they say, about PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds initially, and then I sat down. I have played that game extensively. Me and a few other people got into it on the PC, and I came around. Ross. I was like,
he's in.
I don't think it's Game of the Year, but I did come around on the level of impact that game has had. The amount of just seemingly out of nowhere. If you weren't, I can't even imagine how it was for you, Ross, seeing this game just pop up everywhere in all the news stories. When you don't listen to Giant Bomb, who got into it early on, when you're not kind of watching the scene as much, if you get what I mean. Not in a negative way. Just you're not. You have other responsibilities where you can't watch 30-year-old men go and kill each other in a video game constantly. That was I watched that game kind of form, and I had that. Oh, this game is not out. That was my first thing. I was like, this is early access. But then you start thinking, what is early access now? Because Dead Cells is pretty feature complete, and I really like that game more than a lot of completed games that I've played. So I don't know. I think here's a wild card for you, Russ. I think Battlegrounds might win for the sake of the headlines, Russ.
Maybe get some clicks.
If Mario wins, no one cares. If Zelda wins, no one cares. If it's so obvious. That's the thing. It's like, a new proper Mario game won Game of the Year. Of course it did. Like, and as it's not that it doesn't deserve to, it might do. If Zelda wins, no one cares. Persona 5, maybe there's a bit of a kind of like a conversation around that. Horizon, not really. I think there's a level of blandness to Horizon winning in a weird way. If Battlegrounds wins, for the purposes of what the Game Awards are, Russ, that creates conversations. So I'm curious.
I think it's gamer voted, this one.
It is,
from what I can see.
Unless
there's some influence from external people as well. I don't know if the gamer vote gets kind of looked at by a panel, or if it is just exclusively who's voted for it. But personally speaking, I'm going with Super Mario. I can't see it not. I really can't.
It's the safest bet. It's either that or Zelda that's gonna win. I do firmly believe that. But if it's not solely... When you talk about the panel, by the way, the panel actually put the games up for nomination. That's a lot of their outlets. Yeah. So now, supposedly, it's a game of vote. A lot of people playing Battlegrounds, Russ, so I don't know. That's that, yeah.
Really quickly, before we sign off this topic and move on to our last one, most anticipated game, we've got the votes are going up for The Last of Us Part 2, probably the winner. Red Dead Redemption 2 could be the winner. Monster Hunter World, not sure. Marvel's Spider-Man and God of War. Your pick would be?
Pointless award of the year goes to this because no one really knows. But yeah, it's Red Dead, isn't it? It's gonna win.
Reckon?
Yeah, absolutely. Red Dead will win. Yeah.
You reckon?
Red Dead Redemption will absolutely win.
I reckon The Last of Us Part 2 will run it very close if it doesn't quite nip it.
The Last of Us Part 2, super popular amongst video game players. Any Rockstar game, popular across the world. So, like...
Rockstar!
Anything made by Rockstar, people are paying attention. Anything made by Naughty Dog, gamers are paying attention. There's a very, very big difference there. And as much as, none of them deserve to win because it's a meaningless award. You don't need it. But, like, if we had to pick one, Red Dead's gonna win. And I'd be surprised if anybody from Rockstar turned up. Be like, because they're sat there.
Turn up to anything.
They'd be sat there anyway going, this is a meaningless award. So, of course people anticipate our game. They looked at a red Rockstar logo and liked it 1 billion times on Twitter. Like, obviously, I don't know, I could go on for days about that, Russ.
Cool, guys. Thank you for joining us for that look at the Game Awards nominees and who we think will win. If you are still watching on this section, thank you for joining us. This section will be ended now. Please leave us a comment who you think is going to win on the YouTube channel or on mygameslounge.com. We're going to roll on to the final topic on this full version of the podcast, which you can watch from Friday onwards. But for now, if you are leaving us, bye-bye.